Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode in the series Conversations with Shelly. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, thank you for being here. Always a pleasure to have you and hope that you like what you have been seeing and hearing thus far. And for those of you who've been around here for some time, welcome back. Thank you always for sticking and staying. So this week I'm going to be giving you an update on my GLP-1 journey, more so the compounded version for week 15. Now, I would have started week 16 on the 20th of December. But of course, whenever I start my new week, then I give you an update on the previous week. So I would have already been at today, which is the 22nd, um, on my week 16, but I will be reviewing week 15. Sorry, guys. Got a call. So, right. So let me start um, with my week 15. So week 15 would have been the 15th to the 15th to the 19th of December. And how the week actually started for me was it was very relaxed. I'm looking at my notes here, guys. It's a very relaxed week in general. Pretty much due because we're coming down and winding down to the holidays, and we're entering the week um with my second change. So I would have spoken about my change in terms of my schedule, my dose schedule. So I would have started on a 7-day schedule, once per week for 7 days for the medication. Now that I'm on the compounded Tirzepatide, because I start with the branded version Mounjaro. However, because over time I realized that the appetite suppression and the satiety was weakening, for want of a better word, I cut my 7 days into 5. So I'm now scheduled. This would have been my second week on the revised schedule. So I would have done week 14 and week 15 on a 5-day schedule. Now, how has that been? It has been a little bit hmm, confusing, especially in terms of giving updates, because I would have not completed a calendar week, and another week would have started based on my change in schedule, if that makes sense, right? Albeit, I would have done week 14 and week 15 on a 5-day schedule. Quite confusing, but because of the satiety and the lack of hunger suppression, I had to do a change in my scheduling. So this would have been, as I said, week 5. Sorry, week 2 of a 5-day schedule instead of a 7-day. So my start weight as at week 15 was 166.8. No, guys, that would have been an increase of 1.1 pound because I was 165.8. So I would have ended week 14 at 165.8 and was quite happy. And by the time I got into week 15, I gained a pound. Don't know what that is about, but as you know, on these medications, as your body goes through the weekly changes, you may experience up and downs. And once it's nothing great or substantial in terms of weight gain, then you just have to figure out what is it that you're maybe doing wrong. Maybe you're not having enough water or enough protein or enough fiber. So you just have to figure that out as you go along. So I started week 15 at 166.8, having gained 1 pound from week 14. And yes, I was a little bit sad, but albeit I understood that there may have been something that I did that I, may need to undo. In terms of the non-scale victories, I can tell you I had lots of those, even though the scale was just messing with my mind. Some of the non-scale victories I noticed was that I had to bore like 2 new um holes in my belt. Now, if you know me, you know I love me a belt, and I love me a leather belt, right? Genuine leather belt. And I got up one day, putting on my clothes, and realized, oh my goodness, I need to put some holes in this belt. And leather belt is not the easiest of belts to bore holes through. So why that stuck into my mind as something to speak about is because I went to hell and back. I tried to put a hole in the belt in order to, adjust it. And when I looked at the adjustment from the previous hole to the hole that I was trying to insert, is insert the word? Anyway, I realized that I had maybe this much space. Yeah, like maybe 2 inch. So I would have lost almost 2 inch on my waist, even though the scale was not showing it. So that was a non-scale victory for me. Another thing that happened in week 15 was that my medication from Gobi Meds got delivered. Remember, guys, I was telling you that I really appreciated the service from Gobi Meds. I would have given them a 10 out of 10 for everything else, website, customer service, um, messaging portal, provider engagement, all of that. And I held on to the point two. I gave them 8 out of 10 up until that point, up until the point of delivery. And remember, I was saying to you that I would have held back on the point two for the delivery portion of it. If it got delivered on time, if it got delivered hot or cold, chef's kiss. When I tell you my medication arrived exactly as they had given me the indication that it would have been delivered by UPS. So it was delivered on time. It was delivered in my nicely packaged cooler thing. I didn't get to do an unboxing, guys, because by now I'm so excited to receive my medication that sometimes we just start ripping the thing apart and we don't even get a chance to do any of the unboxing. But I promise you, the next time I place an order, I will absolutely do an unboxing from Gobi Meds. And I tell you, I give them now a 10 out of 10. No, not a sponsored thing, not an affiliate of Gobi Meds. But when I get good service, I get good service. I mean, we'll shout it from the rooftop and from Mount Kilimanjaro. Guys, you see what I just did a while ago? Manjaro, Kilimanjaro. I guess that's a GLP joke. But I didn't even realize that Manjaro and Kilimanjaro are the same thing. I mean, yeah. Anyway, that was a corny joke, but work with me because I'm corny. I also, because I was in the market of searching for different telemeds pharmacians and providers, I also did an appointment with IVM. No, that was an experience. Loved my provider. She was on par. She understood my medical intake form. She understood my previous medication route. It was just seamless. The conversation was just, you know, in line and in keeping with everything that I said, everything that I've been doing since I started my GLP-1 journey on Mounjaro to the branded version under the other telemed pharmacy. And you may be wondering, why is it that I'm using so many different telemeds? And this is something that I encourage a lot of us to do that are within the community. Now, guys, I'm no medical practitioner by any stretch. I'm just giving you my own experience, my desires, my recommendation based on my journey. Now, I do not believe in sticking to any one provider if it's not serving you. Like everything else in life, if something fails to serve you the way that you want to be served, I believe that you should exercise your right as a consumer to move on to a different provider, a different, solution, a different experience. And that is exactly what I've been doing. Now, I would have spoken to you about orderly and that whole, you can go back to week 14 and my drama with orderly. Now, I will never necessarily speak ill of an entity, but I will say there are some things that just did not align with what my expectations were. And while we do have expectations, sometimes our expectations have to be curtailed so as to, not be um blindsided by what ended up being the outcome. So while I was on while I was in the community looking at different persons talk about orderly, and one channel particularly was shouting orderly from the rooftop. Now, this lady, I won't call her name or her channel, but she spoke so highly of orderly. At the end of her talking about orderly meds, I said, this is going to be my next telehealth provider, because, of course, I told you about my beautiful experience with Mochi. But again, because of the subscription, I had to just, part ways with them for now, because the subscription was really eating into my budget for the actual medication. Love Mochi though. So this particular YouTuber, she spoke highly of orderly made. So of course, when you talk highly of something, I'm gonna jump on that because I just think, whoa, her experience was so awesome. I have to now see what this is about. I will say I was disappointed. I was disappointed in a lot of things, and again, I won't beat that horse anymore because it's properly dead. But I did have some choice, words just to describe my experience. It doesn't mean that I won't use them in the future, but if there are other persons who are 5 star, I don't see why I should. I'm sure they would have been great for somebody, including this young lady, but certainly they have not been up to my expectations as I would have liked for them to be. So yes, so for week 15, I also decided to increase my dose, as I said, because I have changed my scheduling, and that was one of the conversations I had with um IVM, the IVM provider. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Hopefully I am. But my dose was increased to 7.5 or 7. Yeah, I think they do a 7 milligram. Just to give myself, some increase suppression, appetite suppression, and to make it, something that I can navigate throughout a longer calendar day and go back to my 7 day, um, process. So I would have placed an order with them. Well, I would have booked my order with them to place in the upcoming week because going on vacation, it's holiday time, so you're gonna look for family and friends. And I not that I may not, I know I won't be home for the delivery time that they have scheduled it for. So I intend to place the order once I'm back from family fun and frills and frolic and all of those things. Um, and I did mention that for week 15, I did cancel my Mochi membership. Sadly, I did, Mochi. I'm really, really sorry for canceling on you. But the membership fee, the subscription fee was, as I said, it was eating into the budget of getting more medications and stuff like that. So sometimes we just have to do what we have to do. Right. Then also, in terms of my dose amount, as I said, I'm still maintaining my 5, but will titrate up to 7.5 in week 16, which I'm now in. So I would have done my 7.5 on my compound Tirzepatide, only because week 15 was such a hard week to go through with the suppression. It wasn't doing me very well. I wasn't feeling the suppression as I did when I started at the 5 milligrams. So I had to do what I had to do, and I stepped it up. And I will tell you that in week 16's update. So that's it for this week, week 15. As I said, well, as of this morning, which is the 22nd of December, I would have gone back to 165.2. So I don't know what would have happened in terms of that, but once I think the weight loss is happening at about They say 2% of your body weight, then you're doing well on the medication. And 2% of where I'm at now is fine because I'm losing about 1.6, 1.7. I don't think I'm hitting 2 pounds per week, but certainly I'm averaging 1.5 pounds per week. And that is within the 2% of your body weight that is recommended so that you don't lose your hair and you don't lose your muscle mass and you don't do all of those things that, we talk about in terms of that. So I think that would have been the updates that I would have for this week. I will do something else in relation to um, what happened in the news, but certainly not right now because I think the updates are more critical. Let me just tell you, I have my Tirzepatide journal. Remember, guys, I told you about this Tirzepatide journal. I actually got it on Amazon. Very useful. I would have done quite a lot of my updates here. So let me just see if I missed anything